Today, we are going to tackle a challenge that is, let's be honest, super familiar to a lot of us. We're talking about that critical, but so often tricky relationship between business and IT teams. We're going to break down why that gap even exists, and, way more importantly, how you can build a rock-solid bridge to cross it.
All right, let's just jump right in. This is the question you hear in hallways and meeting rooms all the time, right? You have this brilliant business idea, it gets passed over to the tech team, and what comes back isn't exactly what anyone had in mind. It's that classic lost in translation moment, and it can completely derail projects and just cause so much frustration. So let's unpack why that keeps happening.
So to really get it, we first need to meet the key players in this whole story. I like to think of them as the project power trio. You've got the business analyst, the project manager, and of course, the IT team. And this chart breaks it down perfectly. So on one side, you have the business analyst, or BA. Their entire world is the what. What are we building? What problem are we solving? They're the translators, taking all the business needs and making sure the final product actually meets those needs. Then you have the project manager, the PM. They're all about the how and when. How do we get this done and when will it be ready? They're managing the whole process, the scope, the budget, the schedule, to make sure the work gets delivered on time and, on budget. So here's the absolute key. They're two sides of the very same coin. When a BA and a PM are perfectly in sync, they create that essential bridge. They connect the vision from the business side with the technical reality on the IT side. It's all about making sure communication is flowing and everybody is on the same page.
But here's where things start to get a little tricky. This collaboration, it doesn't happen in a perfect little bubble. It happens in one of two very different project environments. And understanding these two worlds is the key to figuring out where all the friction comes from. And these analogies are just perfect for explaining it. So on the left, you have the predictive model, which you've probably heard of as waterfall. Think of it like a railroad track. It is super structured and every single step is planned out from the very beginning. Then on the right, you have the adaptive model, which we all know as agile. And that's way more like a winding path. It's flexible, it happens in these short cycles called sprints, and it lets the team change course as they learn new things. It really shines when you're creating something brand new. Okay, so let's imagine life in that predictive waterfall world for a second. Almost all the heavy lifting is done right at the start. The BA does this huge comprehensive needs assessment and works with IT to write these incredibly detailed design documents, all before anyone writes a single line of code. The PM then becomes the guardian of that master plan, making sure the IT team delivers exactly what was promised, exactly on schedule. Now let's flip that completely. Life in the adaptive world has a totally different rhythm. The BA is in constant contact with the IT team, always refining and reprioritizing a list of tasks called a backlog. And the PM's role? It shifts. They become more of a facilitator, clearing roadblocks for the team and helping them keep up a good pace. It's way less about managing a plan and way more about empowering the team. So you have these different roles, these totally different environments. Is it any wonder that things can get a little messy? Let's talk about the monsters that crawl out of the woodwork when this collaboration starts to break down. Our source material points to 5 really common friction points. I'm going to bet you'll recognize a few of these. First, you've got miscommunication of requirements. Then, the dreaded scope creep. Number 3 is conflicting priorities. 4 is that classic battle between what's technically possible and what the business is hoping for. And finally, cultural divides, just the different ways that business and IT teams tend to see the world. Let's start with number 1, because, oh man, we have all been in a meeting where we've heard this exact phrase. This is the sound of miscommunication. The business team thought they were crystal clear, but the IT team heard something totally different. And the result? A project that completely misses the mark, wasting a ton of time, money, and morale. And then you've got its sneaky cousin, scope creep. It always starts with this innocent-sounding question, doesn't it? But especially in one of those big, planned-out projects, one more small thing can set off a massive chain reaction, pushing back deadlines and totally blowing up the budget. It is a project manager's absolute worst nightmare. This is a painful reality for so many IT departments. They're trying to support the entire company, which means they're juggling project after project, and every single one is labeled top priority by somebody. It's just a recipe for conflicts and delays, and it leaves everyone feeling frustrated. Okay, enough doom and gloom. The good news is that these challenges are totally solvable if you have the right tools. So let's pivot away from the problems and open up your collaboration toolkit. So the source material gives us this fantastic 6-step framework for success. It starts with setting up clear communication channels. Then, using visuals to make sure everyone is seeing the same thing. Step 3 is all about prioritizing based on business value, so IT is always working on what matters most. 4 is promoting collaboration to break down those silos. 5, encouraging continuous feedback lets you fix problems fast. And finally, number 6, managing expectations with total transparency. Let's zoom in on a couple of these. So, step 1 is about being really intentional with how you communicate. It's not just about talking more, you actually need a plan. A communications management plan is a simple but incredibly powerful document. It just spells out who gets what information, when they get it, and how it's delivered. It becomes your single source of truth, and it just cuts out so much confusion. Now, for step 2, making your ideas real. I mean, a 100-page document of requirements can be interpreted in a million different ways. But a simple visual, a wireframe, or a prototype, that speaks a language everyone understands. It is so true that a picture is worth 1,000 lines of code. It cuts right through the fog and gives the IT team a really clear picture of what they need to build. This tip for step 4, this might be one of the most powerful things you can do. Don't just write down your requirements and, throw them over the wall to IT. Bring your technical experts into the conversation from day one. They can spot potential issues or constraints way early on and suggest better solutions, turning a future roadblock into a chance to solve a problem together. So as we pull all these pieces together, the core message is really clear. It's about getting away from this idea of handoffs and moving toward a real, genuine partnership. It's all about building better together. And that's really the big takeaway here. When you intentionally align your efforts and use the practices in this toolkit, you can build an incredibly powerful and productive partnership between your business and IT teams. And the best part, these ideas work no matter what environment you're in, whether you're on that straight and narrow railroad track or navigating that winding agile path. So, I'll leave you with this final question to take back with you. Thinking about your own team and your own projects, what is the one practice from this toolkit that you will bring to your very next project meeting to start making a real change? That's all for this explainer. Thanks for joining.